Welcome to the final 2024 Capital Connections update. I am your host, Will Dubose. The legislature officially adjourned sine die on Monday, June 3rd. And for those of you who skipped Latin class like me, sine die is actually pronounced sine die and means without day. This session has been a roller coaster, and let me just say it's been an honor and a privilege to represent the LRA at the Capitol in Baton Rouge. In this episode, I'm going to briefly recap the major bills that the advocacy team supported, opposed, and monitored this year. This list is by no means exhaustive of our efforts this session, but having tracked over 100 bills, it would take quite a while to detail each one. I've broken down our list by category, so without further ado, let's start with alcohol and all things Title 26. The first bill was House Bill 370 by Representative Joe Orgeron. This bill sought to allow any wine producer or manufacturer to sell sparkling and still wine on or off premises and ship directly to a consumer. This repealed the distribution element and allows for direct shipment of wine into the state regardless of their contract for distribution. This was a contentious issue, and a lot of it centered around potential loss of excise tax revenue to the state. This bill died in House committee. The next bill is House Bill 821 by Representative Troy Romero, which provides relative to brewing facilities located in the state. This was a capacity dispute on secondary brewing or taproom facilities. The LRA opposed this bill as it sought to collapse the current three-tier regulatory scheme in favor of breweries. This bill also died in House committee. Next is House Bill 882 by Rep. Jeremy Lacombe, which also provides with respect to microbreweries. This bill was part of a compromise package brokered by the LRA last year. The bill corrects an oversight relating to the size of brewing equipment at a secondary brewing location. The bill passed the legislature and is expected to be signed into law. The next three bills are all part of a three-bill package by Senator Beth Mizell. These bills arose out of a tragic death near LSU's campus. The first is Senate Bill 168, which provides for penalties for the sale or service of alcohol to any person under the age of 21. The bill proposed to increase the fines, expand the scope, and penalties related to any sale of alcohol to a customer under 21. The LRA attempted to work with the author, but eventually worked to defeat the legislation after negotiations broke down. The bill died in Senate committee. The second bill out of that package is Senate Bill 171, also by Beth Mizell. This bill sought to remove the concept of limited immunity from a Class A bar that sells alcohol to anyone under 21. This would have opened the floodgate of litigation because the bar could then be held strictly liable for any damages arising after the sale of alcohol occurred. The LRA was instrumental in defeating this bill before it even received a hearing. As a result, the author did not run the bill. The final bill was Senate Bill 291 by Senator Beth Mizell, which increased the minimum age of bartenders. This would have eliminated the ability of 18 to 20-year-olds from working as a bartender. The LRA strongly opposed the bill, and it was defeated in the Senate committee. Next category of bills all center around the city of New Orleans. For those of you who don't live in the city, just listen and be glad that you don't have to deal with a lot of the headaches that our operators in New Orleans deal with. First is Senate Bill 364 by Senator Jimmy Harris, which provides for the Downtown Development District of the City of New Orleans. This bill mirrors another bill brought by Senator Harris for the French Quarter Management District, and it allows the Downtown Development District to contract directly with providers for services. Currently, the district relies on the city for public safety and minor repairs or improvements. Now the district will be allowed to handle these issues internally, subject to available funding. The bill has passed and is expected to be signed by the governor. Senate Bill 365 by Senator Harris is the FQMD bill that I just referenced. It does the exact same thing. So if you're in the French Quarter and you see like a light out or a sidewalk is broken, well, most likely the city is waiting, or the French Quarter is waiting for the city to step in and fix that. Now the FQMD can contract directly with any kind of construction company or some company that can come and replace the lights. So hopefully this will cut through a lot of the red tape within the city of New Orleans, and a lot more will get done more quickly. Next, we have Senate Bill 507 by Senator Kirk Talbot. This provides relative to negligent carrying of a concealed handgun. This bill changed drastically from its inception. First, it was intended to only allow permitted concealed carry within the boundaries of the French Quarter Management District. After Senate committee amendments, the bill merely enhances the fine attached to the crime of negligent carrying of a concealed handgun in the French Quarter. This is a significant watering down of the original intent, but it's something considering the pro-gun majority of the legislature. This bill is expected to be signed by the governor. Unemployment and wages. So if you've listened to any of these podcasts over the last few weeks, you've probably heard me talk about House Bill 156 by Representative Roger Wilder. This repeals the provision of law relative to the recreation or meal periods for minors. This bill was filed on behalf of the LRA. Beginning August 1st, 16 and 17-year-old employees will be treated like all other employees as it relates to breaks and meal periods. This means no more extra paperwork or possible fines, and its passage is a huge win for our industry. This is expected to be signed into law. House Bill 290 by Representative Denise Marcel established a state minimum wage. This was one of several minimum wage increase bills. However, all such bills were defeated in committee. The position of the LRA is that the government should not dictate wages. Rather, it should be market-driven and determined by each individual business. Louisiana still follows the federal minimum wage, and municipalities are preempted from setting their own minimum wage. Next group of bills all centered around insurance. And for the sake of brevity and eliminating any confusion, we'll cover all of the insurance measures later once the bills have either been signed or vetoed, so that we can give you a more comprehensive analysis on how the reforms fared this year. I'll just say that our new insurance commissioner, Tim Temple, really stepped up and set before the legislature a comprehensive reform package. And I think a lot of those bills were successful, and hopefully before too long, we'll see some insurance premiums start to go down and stabilize. The next group of bills that we're going to talk about all deal with seafood. This has been a huge hot topic and sensitive subject and sore spot, depending on who you talk to. The first bill was House Bill 584 by Representative Tim Kerner. This bill sought to prohibit the sale of farm-raised shrimp in Louisiana. This was a broad swipe at farm-raised with no specific definition. It didn't specify imported, domestic, anything like that under the definition of farm raised. We opposed this bill and successfully defeated it in committee. Next, we have another Tim Kerner bill, House Bill 676, which establishes a seafood importer license for wholesale retail dealers and retail dealers. This bill sets a flat $300 license fee for wholesale retail dealers who sell imported seafood. The money generated will be used for testing of imported seafood. It does not apply to restaurants who buy imported seafood and prepare it for consumption. This bill has been sent to the governor for his signature. Next, we have another similar bill by Representative Jessica Domingue. House Bill 748 provides relative to imported seafood safety fees. This bill sets an increasing scale for importers of foreign seafood over 4 years to be capped at $1,000 in 2029 and thereafter. The money generated will also be used for testing foreign seafood. This bill only applies to a few dozen licensees, so it's really nothing to worry about for our restaurant members. This bill has also been sent to the governor for his signature. Senate Bill 40 by Senator Robert Allen provides relative to seafood safety. This bill expands the scope of the Seafood Safety Task Force and retains a seat on that task force for the Louisiana Restaurant Association. I have the pleasure of serving on that task force on your behalf. The focus of the task force is to study the impacts of importing foreign seafood into the state. That bill is expected to be signed into law. Next is Senate Bill 62 by Senator Big Mike Fessy. This also provides relative to seafood safety. This bill revamps the license structure for wholesale dealers and distributors of imported seafood and sets penalties for violations thereof. The LRA worked tirelessly to get this bill into a much more palatable form than it was when it was initially drafted, and I'm very proud of all of our work around this one. This bill has been sent to the governor for his signature. Finally, we have Senate Bill 166 by Senator Pat Connick, which again provides relative to seafood safety. This bill mainly targets the packaging of imported seafood that may mislead the public into believing that it's local. Here you can think about your Boudreaux's shrimp or crawfish, but if you read the fine print, that Boudreaux might actually be Chang Boudreaux in China. This bill also loosens up the menu labeling requirements at restaurants who serve imported shrimp. This bill has been sent to the governor for his signature. Our final category of bills deals with workers' comp, and similar to the insurance, I don't really want to go into too much detail about all of these bills, but I will start by saying that the LRA worked very closely with LABI, which is the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. We worked long and hard for several months leading up to the session to compose a package of bills seeking to overhaul the workers' comp system in Louisiana. As you might imagine, plaintiffs' attorneys also worked very hard to maintain the status quo. The result of this session was some wins that will help improve the landscape, but work still remains to be done. And I'm very confident that moving forward, we've done a lot of education and kind of set ourselves up to win in the coming years on a lot of these workers' comp issues. That concludes our bill review. I'd once again like to say how privileged I am to represent the LRA along with the rest of our advocacy team. If you have any questions about the bills I just covered, or about any other bills you've heard about in the news or from friends, I'm your built-in resource to ask anything you'd like. Please email me at will@lra.org or just give me a call at the office. From the LRA House in Baton Rouge, this is Will signing off until next session.